Black dot melanin, collective unconscious doorway to the temple. The locus coeruleus is literally a brain doorway to the collective unconscious. It is a critical brain center that, when activated, will begin REM sleep, that phase of sleep in which we can recall dreams, the actual review of images from the collective unconscious. Hobson, 1977, Olszewski, 1954, Scherer, 1939, Jouvet and Delorme, 1965, Huang, 1975, Kobayashi, 1975, Redmond, 1976, Moses, 1966, Van Wert, 1967. The brain dreams continuously and is constantly sending unconscious memory images from deeper mind-brain levels up to the cortex for possible conscious expression. However, in the uninitiated or neophyte student, who is ignorant of how to translate ancient African memories, may occasionally become conscious or aware of such images only in the REM phase of dream sleep during the night, and they may occasionally experience intuitive flashes during the day or night. Mental slaves, trained to remain ignorant of their own historical Africanity, remain fixed at this neophyte level. According to the great leader, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, many Africans are mentally dead, unaware of how to use their own mind, unaware of the infinite power of their mind, that is far superior to any man-made computer. Diverse physiological correlations of anxiety and fear led Cannon, 1927, to suggest that they are mediated by the sympathetic nervous system. MacLean, 1949, proposing his theory of the limbic system as the central mediator of emotion, transformed the anatomic site to the midbrain. More recently, the locus coeruleus, a small streak of cells located in the dorsolateral tementum of the pons, has been proposed as another important mediator of anxiety. Redmond, 1974. All of these structures are phylogenetically ancient, suggesting that anxiety itself evolved with man's earliest vertebrate ancestors. Experiments suggest a possible continuum of cautionary or inhibitory functions by this small nucleus, in which the middle of normal range of function, vigilance, caution, prudence, watchfulness, attentiveness, would have evolutionary advantages, ensuring that threats were respected and, where possible, prevented. Whereas excessive or maximum locus coeruleus function would have the disadvantages of terror, panic, fear, anxiety, dread, and alarm. Minimum locus coeruleus function would have the disadvantages of inattentiveness, distractibility, impulsivity, carelessness, recklessness, and fearlessness. Redmond, 1974, A Legacy of Evolution, 1981. An excellent example of black dot ancient memory that was pulled from the collective unconscious memory bank, presented in a dream, and associated with fear and panic, was reported by the European psychiatrist C.G. Jung, 1970. I am Horus, and I fly up and perch myself upon the forehead of Ra in the bows of his boat, which is in heaven. The deceased is said to be the lord of Mot, which the goddess Uachet worketh. One am the spiritual body of the Lord of Mot, which is made by the goddess Uachet. Continued examination of the name Uraeus reveals that it is composed of the syllables or sounds Uraeus. The Re relates to Ra, or the Egyptian god Ra, the All, the big god. Us relates to human individuals, literally. Thus, Uraeus represents the God within us. In other words, Uraeus represents an individual's ability to utilize innate godlike power or knowledge of all symbols through the development of all of sensory receptors in such a manner that he or she is able to tune into all energies, especially the rapid spiritual energies upon which the all-total God communicates. Robert Hofstein, 1975, has defined several of the Eastern ideas behind the letter U. The negative energy of U refers to ideas that are negative as seen in the prefix un. It represents the idea without meaning, knowledge, unknown ignorance. On the other hand, the positive energy of the letter U refers to that which binds something to another, as in the word unity. Overall, we can now discern the esoteric or inner meaning of the idea Uraeus is either that which binds or that which is unknown or does not bind. Ra represents God, while Us literally refers to us, the cultural collective of individuals, humans. Knowledge is the process. Lack of soul knowledge, on the other hand, prevents the realization of the godlike powers within the individual. Gerald Massey, 1974, author of the outstanding classical review, Typology of the Mythical Serpent, said in reference to the origin of the name serpent, that the name is preeminently inner African. Below are two listings of the names of serpents based upon his classification. Non-African snake English, Nakash Hebrew, Naga Sanskrit, Naya Arabic, Nike and Nakahi Maori, Nyoka Kanika, Nyoka Kabenda, Nyoka Mimboma, N. Nyoka Muzantandu Nyoka Kasans. The dreamer receives a letter from an unknown woman. She writes that she has pain in the uterus. A drawing is attached to the letter, looking roughly like this. Fig 1 Uraeus fall. 2 In the virgin forest, there are swarms of monkeys. Then a panorama of white glaciers opens up. Lung interpreted this dream. The uterus is the center, the life-giving vessel, vas. The serpentine leading to the vessel is analogous to the healing serpent of Aesculapius, Medicina. It is also analogous to the tantric symbol of Shiva Hindu, the creative latent god without expression in space, who, in the form of a point or lingam, is encircled 3.5 times by the Kundalini, Uraeus, serpent. With the virgin forest we meet the ape motif again. The present dream ends with the panorama of white glaciers, reminding the dreamer of earlier dreams of which he beheld the Milky Way and was having a conversation about immortality. First, the dream and interpretation yield great supportive evidence to the universal symbol black dot and its vast history even in European literature. Regarding black dot, the vessel, uterus, or vas, Jung reported, the center of the mandala is sometimes referred to in alchemical literature as the vas. It corresponds to the salix of the Indian lotus, seat and birthplace of the gods. This is called the Padma, a term that denotes femininity and corresponds to the yoni. In alchemy, the vase is often taken as the uterus where the child is gestated. In the Litany of Loreto, Mary is spoken of 3 times as the vas spirituae, honorable and in signed devotions, and in medieval poetry she is called the flower of the sea, which shelters the Christ. Second, Jung's oldest references for interpreting the dream was the Greek healing serpent Aesculapius and Indian Kundalini serpent. The Kundalini serpent, or Uraeus, was shown to be a creative energy that passed through the black dot, uterus, doorway to life. By reference to our earlier discussion, we can summarize that both the Greek and Indian references to the black dot, serpent relationship were taken from even earlier African scientists who predated both civilizations. Third, by not being aware of his own ancient African source, Jung was unable to translate the glacier and swarm of monkeys depicted in the dreams. He lacked an African consciousness that would have assisted his patient in accepting her own collective unconscious memory bank. To this end, she would have known that her European ancestors, who were Africans, migrated from Africa to European forests and then underwent various changes in an attempt to adapt to glacial conditions. For the patient to continue the individuation process meant that she would have to retrieve lost ancient African knowledge. To accept that part of herself, the dreamer had to accept her historical black self, rather than distort and reject swarms of ancient black ancestors as swarms of monkeys. Last, the dream took place because of the dreamer's intact black-born nerve tracts and nerve hormones, the indelible biological record of humanity's common African roots. The entrance to the Great Pyramid, Amenta, unconscious mind, was concealed by a movable flagstone that turned on a pivot, which none but the initiated could detect. Thus, horns, inner vision, was the door in darkness, the way portrayed for the Manas in death, transformation. Here is the mystery. How to enter here there is no door, and the way is all unknown. It is explained to the Manas how divine assistance is to be obtained. When the strains of life on earth are effaced, strength is given, forging the entrance where there is no door, and in that power the Manas penetrate with, or as the god. It was through the use of the 10 virtues, negative confessions, and 7 liberal arts, King, 1978, James, 1976, that the heart was developed, the core of the emotional finger that pulls knowledge from the collective unconscious. A strong heart will yield a strong character of personality and well-tuned emotional radar. Consider and start daily use of the 10 virtues, 2 of which are courage, freedom from resentment, and efficiency, preparation for initiation at all times. Black dot is an ancient African symbol for blackness, the seed and archetype of all humanity. Black dot is the hidden doorway to the collective unconscious, ancestral memory bank for all. Black dot represents the African origin of all humanity, for all Europeans, Latinos, and Asians came from the same African ancestral parents. Humanity may differ with variations of color, skin melanin, but we are all rooted in neuromelanin, black hormone blackness. Today's reborn black masters must accept their blackness and be inspired to create genius levels, beauty, and rest upon, in resonance, harmonic flow from the pyramids. Uraeus is a symbol of the transforming energy of the soul. Black dot defines the hidden doorway through which the transforming soul energy of Uraeus passes.